I'm Catherine Sikkink. I'm the Ryan Family Professor of Human Rights Policy at the Harvard Kennedy School. And I'm very happy to be here at the Human Rights Center at Padova University. Is the Justice Cascade over? Mainly in my 2011 book by that title, I was responding to new data that we've gathered in my data set up to 2020. And using this new data, we found that the peak of the Justice Cascade came in 2010. I wrote the book in 2011, so I wrote the book exactly at the peak of the Justice Cascade. And since that time, it has declined. The reason we think that it has declined has to do with the decline in democracy, especially liberal democracies in the world. Even in the book, The Justice Cascade, I argued there were preconditions for it, and one of the preconditions was the third wave of democracy. In other words, you can't have transitional justice without transitions to democracy, and those transitions have not just slowed, but actually reversed. Okay, now, democracy is not in free fall in the world. No, democracy peaked, and now there's been a slight decline in the number of liberal democracies in the world. But it means that there's no new impetus for these human rights prosecutions in the world because there aren't so many new democracies. In terms of other changing global dynamics, the regions that really generated the Justice Cascade in the first place, Southern Europe first, then Latin America, and then Eastern Europe after the fall of the Berlin Wall, have had many prosecutions and are not facing mass repression anymore. The parts of the world that really need justice have not had transitions to democracy. Okay, so we're left in a situation where the supply of justice responds to the demand, and the demand for justice has gone down, in part because in repressive societies people can't demand justice and they don't have the judicial systems, the independent judicial systems that would let them pursue justice through trials. Multilateralism is under attack today. But I'm going to argue back that the international justice system is stronger today than it's been in the past. There's a couple reasons for that. One, I never believed that during my lifetime I would see an international criminal court. Young people today take it for granted. Of course there's a national criminal court, and why isn't it doing its job better? Okay, but I'm still like going, oh my goodness, we have an international criminal court, something we never thought we would get. That the United States and other countries tried to destroy the court, they failed. The court is running a whole series of cases. It has introduced new cases against some of the most powerful individuals in the world, including Vladimir Putin and including Netanyahu and Gallant. Okay, so we have a court doing very ambitious things. No amount of opposition from Russia, the US, or Israel now has been able to make that court disappear. Okay. Secondly, now the International Court of Justice is doing these very dynamic and new things. It has had 3 cases on the case of Israel, occupation, now Gaza. 2 of them were advisory opinions. One about the wall that was constructed in Israel on the occupied land. And the second, an advisory opinion about the occupation itself, which was just decided this last summer. And in both those cases, the International Court of Justice found on behalf of the Palestinian people, I believe. Okay, now we have a third case, which is a case brought by South Africa. It's a contentious case, which are more powerful than advisory opinions. Israel argued that the court did not have jurisdiction, should dismiss the case. They did not dismiss the case. They issued very significant provisional measures. Israel has not responded to those provisional measures. We don't know what the final decision will be, okay? But that's not a scenario, I would say, where it looks like the international justice system is dying and going away, okay? The regional courts, the European Court of Human Rights has an incredibly huge caseload. The Inter-American Court of Human Rights is taking on very ambitious cases. I'm very concerned about the issue of the restricting civil space. and using national security concerns as a reason for that. I would like to argue it is nothing new to use national security concerns to restrict civic space. I got started on this because I lived in Uruguay, I lived in Argentina. I lived in Uruguay during the dictatorship of 1976, and I worked on Argentina during the dictatorship. The arguments were completely arguments about national security, and they weren't just restricting civil space, they were murdering their opponents secretly. All of the early cases I worked on were all cases where national security was used just to not just restrict civil space. Today, it's very worrisome. It's long been an argument. It's still an argument. We still have to push back, as people did, against that argument. And one of the things that isn't always appreciated is how regional international courts do grapple with these issues. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights says that certain rights can be suspended in cases of national emergency. Okay? You have to notify the UN that this is a situation of national emergency we're restricting. Then there's the non-derogable rights that you can't suspend. Okay? The European Court has really interesting jurisprudence where it says that a country like Ukraine, for example, can pass certain kinds of lustration laws that may violate some individual rights, and they can do so because democracies are entitled to defend their democracy. The human rights treaties have not been rigid, and they do offer alternatives. Countries and activists can look to those treaties and look to the jurisprudence of these courts to understand how complex trade-offs are being addressed.